Jon Voight is one of the great generation of 70s actors.
I know what I gotta do.
Jon Voight's eyes are the most incredible eyes on screen. His face can be absolutely motionless, but with his eyes, he's telling this amazing story.
Jon Voight is not just a chameleon. I think he's a true shapeshifter.
Jon Voight was born in 1938 in Yonkers, New York, to a devout Catholic family.
His father was Elmer, who was a professional golfer and apparently a great storyteller. The young Jon Voight had an older brother and younger brother, and the father would treat them to stories every night. And he said, always with a moral. And they used to bore them insensibly. His father says, everything's got to have a message. And he said that something he took from his father was that storytelling needed a message beneath it or within it somewhere.
He went to a Catholic high school, the Archbishop Stepinac High School in White Plains in New York. And he went to the Catholic University of America, where he did a BA in art. He'd picked up the theatre at school, where he started playing comedic roles in the school's annual play. And when he finished at the university, he decided that acting was for him.
On his return to New York, he attended the neighborhood Playhouse Theatre School. And from there, he started to get roles in television and theatre.
Amongst his television roles was The Defenders and Naked City. Both of them were big successes.
Jon Voight's acting career gained wider attention with his theatre roles, his breakout part being in a production of Arthur Miller's A View from the Bridge, opposite Robert Duvall.
He was building a little bit of a reputation. He was very much involved in the counterculture, and then when Philip Kaufman came to direct what he saw as a satirical counterculture spoof on superhero movies, he turned to Jon Voight.
There were other secrets about himself that Frank learned.
5,244. I can count. 5,244. 5,245.
Little by little.
Right, nice ice cream. No, Frank. Right, nice ice cream. Right, nice ice cream.
In every way.
Right, nice ice cream.
Frank was getting better.
Right, nice ice cream. Right, nice ice cream.
Voight plays a sort of gauche hick out-of-towner who becomes a murder victim and then is suddenly revived as this would-be superhero.
That part of the film is kind of almost like a kid's film. It's very straightforward. It fits into what we understand of the narrative of a comic book hero. But things get more and more strange as the film goes on.
It's all done with a great sense of sort of heightened parody and fun. I think Voight was kind of cast as much for his kind of slick looks as he was for, you know, his acting talent. It didn't require an awful lot.
Jon Voight then was in Hour of the Gun, John Sturges' film about Wyatt Earp Doc Holliday.
Earp would drop you and a dozen like you quicker than he did Stillwell. Brocious, you like to drink. Go to Texas and booze yourself into silence.
Sure.
There's quite a big cast of bad guys, and amongst them you find Jon Voight as Curly Bill Brocious, who was the baby-faced killer.
I think that Sturges must have seen him in some of the TV westerns he'd done, because Voight looks perfect in westerns.
You put together Fearless Frank and this role, and you start to see what people saw in him for the most important role of his career, the thing that would happen next, the Midnight Cowboy.
I know when I give satisfaction, I give her satisfaction. I mean, you see what I'm getting at here? She got a penthouse up there with color TV, more goddamn diamonds than an archbishop. And she busts out bawling when I asked her for money.
For what?
For money.
Wait a minute. For money for what?
Oh, hell, I'm a hustler. You didn't know that?
Well, how am I supposed to know that? I mean, you gotta tell a person these things.
I'm a hustler.
It's an absolutely terrific study of lost souls. Joe Buck, he comes to New York, and really straight away becomes a hustler and is no good at it. You know, he wants to be, you know, a prostitute to female clients. This doesn't work out. He's not good at it, you know, but he becomes a gay hustler. And even that doesn't really work out. And he crosses paths with Ratso, played by Dustin Hoffman, who is his sort of counterpoint. You know, if he's kind of beautiful but lost, then Ratso is together but lost. You know, he's this kind of urchin on the streets, almost Dickensian Ratso.
Ratso is ill and getting iller and iller. And in what happens, the beautiful thing about the way that Voight plays it is he plays this dumb guy who's really out of his depth, but does begin to care very strongly for Hoffman.
Where you going?
I gotta get a doctor.
What?
I gotta get a doctor.
You ain't getting me no doctor. No.
You're sick, boy. You need a damn doctor.
Hey, no doctors, no cops. Don't be so stupid.
Well, what the hell you want me to do?
Florida, you got me to Florida.
Oh, hell, I can't go to Florida now.
Just put me on a bus. Just put me on a bus. I don't need you.
You got the damn fever, boy. How the hell are you gonna get to Florida?
Just get me on a bus. You ain't sending me to Bellevue.
He pulls it off amazingly. I think the two of them together form this wonderful bond, which, of course, ends in tears, as it has to. But Voight himself actually holds the centre of the movie as the one who sort of survives, only just.
You start to see Voight's character go further and further into darkness. I mean, he is going into terrible places and doing terrible, terrible things, involving violent robberies towards the very end, in order to help Ratso achieve his dream, which is to get to Florida and live in the sunshine for once. And there's this, it's just such a touching ending. I mean, Jon Voight does tragic endings like nobody else. There's the final sequence where they're arriving in Florida and Jon Voight's talking about how he's going to give up being a prostitute and how he's going to take a new career, and Ratso doesn't answer. And he realises that he's dead. And then the bus arrives, and it's very hard to watch that without tears. I mean, my tears in my eyes right now. It's such a moving ending.
It's a remarkable film, one of the best films that an English director has actually made in America at the time. It still holds up well, and the performances are great.
It was, for the time, I think very controversial, very daring. I think it's one of the films that helped reshape Hollywood. It was an X film that won Best Film at the Oscars. Both Hoffman and Voight would be nominated for Best Actor.
There are tremendous profits to be made, Colonel.
For us?
For everyone. I feel, sir, that what will be good for M&M Enterprises will be good for the country.
You'll have our full cooperation, Milo.
Thank you, sir. If I could take one of the planes this afternoon, I'd like to get this material over to Alexandria. There's a huge cotton crop this year.
Cotton?
Yes, sir. Cotton is a particularly liquid commodity.
How much?
We'll trade for it, sir.
With what?
Silk. 4,000 yards of silk.
How in the world did you get hold of so much silk?
Where the hell's my parachute?
Catch-22, of course, was a celebrated novel by Joseph Heller, a kind of satire on the nature of war.
Jon Voight plays Lieutenant Milo Minderbinder, who is engaging in black market operations in the middle of the war. I mean, it is an insane sort of document about how things go completely mad in the middle of combat.
He ends up doing deals with the Germans and getting his Air Force squadron to bomb itself, because this is part of the way he, profiteers from the war. And this was really the message, is in a way, the Milo role is the real message of the book. A lot of this is about the insanity of war and the craziness of bureaucracy, but right at the heart of it, there's this character who's profiteering from the whole thing. And Voight gives him an absolutely credible insanity.
He's dead. It's too bad. He was a nice fellow.
Well, your boys made a nice direct hit on him.
But he died a rich man. He had over 60 shares in the syndicate.
What good is that? He's dead.
And his family will get it.
He didn't have time to have a family.
And his parents will get it.
They don't need it. They're rich.
Then they'll understand.
Why do you go on these trips with me, Ed?
I like my life, Louis.
Yeah, but why do you go on these trips with me?
You know, sometimes I wonder about that.
Deliverance is John Borman's wonderful film about 4 city guys who all go together into the Appalachian wilderness on a holiday and a sort of bonding exercise.
It was hugely successful. Somehow it rang a bell with Americans, the 2 sides of American life, the urban side and the countryside.
The whole myth of the film is that it's verging on a kind of horror movie. The fact is that it's kept and maintained in a very realistic manner, and it's all down to all 4 actors.
There's this incredible sequence where Voight climbs a cliff to get up to the high ground and sort of skids down it again, you know, rubbing himself up against it. And obviously that bit was faked, but Voight did climb that cliff. You know, they didn't have stand-ins. That was him going up there.
In 1974, John Voight starred in Conrack, based on American author Pat Conroy's memoir The Water is Wide. It showed a sympathetic angle on the theme of isolation in America.
We saw him coming out of the opera with some friends.
Why didn't he go to the police?
He did. He reported it. But the police said he had no evidence. That's why he killed himself. You see, he'd come up against the Odessa.
The Odessa?
Ronald Neame directed The Odessa File, which was a World War thriller.
It's about a German reporter, and of course, Voight is good for a German reporter. He has German genes, he has the right look. And one day he basically ambulance chases to discover a Jew has committed suicide.
The guy has left a diary in which he identifies the camp that he was in and also, crucially, the name of the SS officer who ran the camp.
Basically, you know, it's a chase thriller that will cross Europe and take Peter Miller, who is the character played by John Voight, into the orbit of Maximilian Schell, you know, who's loosely based on the Butcher of Riga. He's this kind of secreted away, terrible Nazi criminal.
Do you remember a man with the name of Tauber?
Who?
Solomon Tauber. He was German and Jewish. One of your prisoners at Riga. Try to think, Rushman.
I can't remember all the prisoners' names.
He died in Hamburg last November. He gassed himself. Are you listening?
If I must?
Yes. You must.
This was certainly an extravagant tale, very well handled by Neame, who was an actor's director as well as able to do spectacle. And that was the point about the Odessa File. It had a certain amount of character as well as all the explosions.
What Voight brings to it is an enormous credibility, partly because he studied the German accent so convincingly that you forget he's American, and it's very rare that people can play so convincingly. But also he gives him a compelling drive. You believe that this matters to him.
Schmid's date book.
Unimportant.
Well, there's from time to time a letter G noted in the date book.
Could be a girl's name.
His girl's name was Anna.
Oh, I didn't know.
Well, perhaps you should have known, Commissioner. These are all facts. On those days marked with a G, Schmid always took his tuxedo and left town in his car.
How come you know that?
From Frau Schöner.
You were there?
End of the game, you wonder whether it was kind of a favour to Maximilian Schell because they got to know one another on the Odessa File, because it's Maximilian Schell directing. And this is slightly left field European thriller set in Switzerland.
He gives a very mannered performance. He gives a very Swiss performance. He's very sort of far back in himself, and he uses his German accent a little.
Robert Shaw was in the cast as well, and He got on very well with John Voight and they became firm friends. He admired British actors greatly.
You can imagine Maximilian Schell loves working with John Voight. John Voight falls in love with working with Robert Shaw. It must have been just a great set to be on, and that kind of comes across.
Whiskey? Benedictine?
No, thank you.
I understand you never drink while you're on duty. Must have disturbed you.
What?
The death of your predecessor.
Richard, are you coming?
If Midnight Cowboy was kind of the announcement of John Voight on the scene, as it were, then I think Coming Home is the kind of fulfillment of his talent.
What are you doing here, Bender? Why aren't you out on the golf course teeing up balls? Doing something you're good at.
I'm just trying to keep busy, that's all.
Sure, it gives you something to talk about over martinis. How you're helping out the poor cripples.
I don't think that I deserve that, Luke, at all.
Maybe you're just getting ready for your husband who'll come back in a body bag.
He stars opposite Jane Fonda and Bruce Dern, and it's a sort of romance that develops between him and Fonda when she is working in the Veterans Hospital and discovers him.
He is embittered, this character. He was a former high school football captain, he was the dream boy who's now this kind of cripple, full of rage at himself, rage at his injury, rage at the war. In some ways, and the brilliance of Voight's performance is that he doesn't let the emotions make a whole lot of sense. He's just directing his fire in all these different directions.
In the Veterans Hospital, you see one of his close friends committing suicide because he can't bear his existence as a veteran. So it's a very powerful and compelling anti-war movie. It's very critical of the war, but not through strident tones, just by making you feel for the people who came home.
Do you know that when I dream, I'm not in the chair. I don't even have a chair in my dream. I have legs. When I was a kid, I used to jump in my mother's kitchen and touch the ceiling.
Both Fonda and Voight were anti-war agitators, they're protesters, and so they bonded incredibly well over this film. You can see in their performances just how important it was for them to get it right.
It was a grim film, quite depressing, but very honest. And it was a very honest performance from John Voight, too. He went to many hospitals before the performance in order to find out how these Vietnam veterans who were badly injured survived. And he wasn't very impressed because a lot of them didn't survive very well. And that's shown in the film, too. So it's an outstanding film with an outstanding actor in the lead role.
It's from Bob. I opened it. He's coming home.
Is he all right?
Oh, yeah, he's all right. He just got shot in the leg, nothing really too heavy. He's all right.
It would win awards in Cannes, including Best Actor for John Voight, and it would win John Voight a Golden Globe, and it would win him the Oscar.
You think this is right, George? That I should show him what I got? That I should step in that ring and show him what I got? I made a lot of money for that man. Champion of the world, it ain't right. I'm taking a walk.
Billy, what are we going to tell him?
You tell him exactly what I said! And if he wants to wait for me, that's fine. He can wait for me.
The Champ is Franco Zeffirelli's remake of a great Charlie Chaplin film in which John Voight plays a boxer whose son, played by Ricky Schroeder in this case, adores him. He actually looks up to him.
John Voight's trying to make his way raising his son, TJ, who TJ calls him the Champ, and it's clear that the son idolizes the father. And then gradually, Faye Dunaway comes back into their life and she wants to be part of what's going on. But Voight doesn't want her to reveal herself to TJ immediately because he's basically covered up why she left.
You know, it's about separation, it's about hope, it's about making you cry. And it was so sort of completely on the other end of the scale from Coming Home. It was baffling in some ways. But I think it was just Voight saying, you know, I can do this kind of thing, you know, I can enjoy myself, I can make films for kind of kids and for everybody.
Voight trained very hard with boxers to get this in a convincing fashion. But the end of the film, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's the saddest thing that you've ever seen with the son and the father and their relationship, just raw and bare and emotional.
You know what you want?
A pain in the ass.
A pain in the ass, yeah, that's right.
You don't treat me like a punk, okay?
Oh, you don't like it?
No.
Well, you're a prize fighter. Get in my ass. Make you move.
No. I'm not gonna give you no reason to kill me, Manny.
Please don't.
Okay.
Runaway Train is what you might call the kind of start of Jon Voight Mark II. You know, it's the next phase. It's sort of the point where he seemed to sort of throw caution to the wind and go, well, you know, I will do whatever the heck I want to do, and we'll see what comes of it.
The story concerns escaped criminals who board a train, which in the end is totally uncontrollable, and Jon Voight plays one of the prisoners. Again, it was a good performance.
I think that this is the most extraordinarily savage portrayal of a man who has lost everything, lost all his dignity, lost all his sort of humanity. Voight himself is virtually unrecognizable.
The film had an energy and a sort of intellectual force behind it. Even though it was an action film, in essence, it still had some of Konchalovsky's feel for character and atmosphere, and that's why I think John was able to give such a good performance in it.
The film is extraordinarily vivid. You know, the sense of weather and, you know, just this brute force they're up against through this fantastic kind of Alaskan countryside, like a sort of fantasy world they're traveling through. And Voight decides the only answer to this kind of huge scale film was to turn his own performance up to that of a runaway train.
Come on, man, it's Tommy! Tommy!
Kill him! Tom! Kill him! Kill him!
For this, you know, action movie, you know, this B picture in some respects, Voight would get an Oscar nomination and a Golden Globe nomination. You know, they saw what was there, you know, a chance to sort of redefine an action hero.
Kelso called. About what? The score he's putting out wants you to look at.
What do I need his score for? I got my own.
Says it's clean in low 8 figures.
9 a.m. tomorrow.
What happened out there?
Don't ask.
he joined the team of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino in Michael Mann's amazing thriller Heat. This is a really high-profile thriller.
Voight's character is based on a real person, a real crook, and he's the crook that he is playing is also the advisor to the film on the criminality of the city. And so he's having to play a real person who is standing on set with him every day.
It's an extraordinary performance. He's not the lead by any means, but it's one of the most memorable performances in the entire film.
Hey, where's Chris? He's gone.
What?
Said he's going on his own. Went to look for Charlene.
Didn't you bring him here?
Yeah, I brought him here.
What happened?
It's a free country, brother.
Mission Impossible is Brian De Palma and Tom Cruise resurrecting the famous 60s TV franchise with a spectacular action movie. And Jon Voight is critical in the film.
Okay, listen. If that list gets out into the open, the names of our agents in every country in Eastern Europe will be up for grabs to the highest bidders. Third world terrorists, arms dealers, drug lords, any and everybody who'd love to get rid of long-term coverts like us. If they're exposed, they'll be executed.
In Mission Impossible, he plays Jim Phelps, who is basically Tom Cruise's puppet master. He's the one who sort of sends him on the missions, except the fact that Jim Phelps, of course, is as corrupt as pretty well everybody else, and he's actually playing his own game.
Voight was kind of launching a career now of fine modern baddies. You know, he seemed to sort of work out how to work within this new world of thrillers and sort of to be the kind of the voice of corruption.
In all fairness, Ethan, Claire was never convinced her charms would work on you. But I was supremely confident, having tasted the goods. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, Ethan.
The Rainmaker is a Francis Ford Coppola legal drama. Jon Voight plays in this the bad guy. So Matt Damon is an idealistic lawyer who gets involved in a particular case where Voight is trying to frustrate him at every single possible turn, including some very dubious, no doubt illegal practices.
May it please the court. For the record, my name is Leo F. Drummond of Tinley Britt, counsel for great benefit. And I say, if this young man has passed the bar exam, Your Honor, let him argue the case. We welcome him to big-time litigation.
You have no objection, Mr. Drummond?
If it please the court, I would be honored to introduce Mr. Baylor to the practice of law of the great state of Tennessee. Judge, you can give him the oath right now, and I'll be pleased to stand for him.
You have these big courtroom scenes in which this fledgling kid who knows nothing really, that barely passed the bar, has to confront the big, flamboyant, wealthy, representative of the insurance company, played by Jon Voight. And Voight knows what's required.
He's a shark in shark's clothing. I mean, he's, the shark is just millimeters beneath the skin of southern gentility that he puts across. Absolutely fantastic.
But you were less than truthful with me and with this jury moments ago when you told us under oath that Dr. Page never said that your son had the type of leukemia that could not be treated by a bone marrow transplant. I believe your exact words were, he never said that, not like that, to me.
He wasn't a specialist. I just wanted Donnie Ray to have the best medical treatment available. You'd do the same thing.
Of course, ma'am. Of course. That'll be all.
Jon Voight continued to appear in star-studded action thrillers such as Oliver Stone's U-Turn.
I want people to know he's lying before they hear what he says.
We could take his wife and kid. He'd give it up for them.
We'd have the police and the FBI all over this in 24 hours. Put taps on his 20 most frequently called numbers, and let's get into his life.
The union situation has mob written all over it. And he's definitely vulnerable on Rachel Banks. I want to know about his wife. I want to know about his parents. I want to know about his gambling problems, his urine samples, his porno rentals. I want to use every means possible to get what we need. Because this little son of a bitch is not going to be the final chapter of my life.
You get the sense, you know, going through the 90s that Jon Voight was just really enjoying himself. And, you know, where he'd kind of been resistant in the 70s and 80s of being a Hollywood guy, now he was like a Hollywood gun for hire, you know.
What's lovely about it is the way that Voight and this group of stoner slackers who are his computer team, who clearly irritate him, they're basically the beginning of that idea of the nerd culture coming along who really understand tech and the old guys don't. So he's standing behind these guys eating pizza and talking slang, and he really, you know, he portrays this very established kind of figure who's dealing with these people, and there's a rich comedy in those sequences. So whilst underneath there is a strong thriller, every time you go to Voight and his computer buddies switching around their satellites, it's a very dark comedy in those moments.
The shadow's wrong. Zabit's changed the configuration of Dean's packages.
Is it a tape?
It's hard to say for sure. These things are...
Computer take us around to the other side?
It can hypothesize, Chris.
Yeah?
Can you rotate us 75 degrees around the vertical, please?
What do you think it is?
It looks a lot bigger than the tape.
Zabit's had digital compression equipment in his apartment. He could have downloaded it to anything.
Or maybe the bag twisted in Dean's hand. Or something moved in front of the light and altered the shadow. Maybe it's nothing.
Maybe it's everything.
John Borman loved Jon Voight and gave him a really fantastic role in The General, his extremely interesting film about Martin Cahill, who was an IRA gunman and criminal.
Martin, you mad whore, you.
Don't lose the rag, Martin. Don't give him the satisfaction.
Oh, they let you out, did they? Francis, nice to get out of this sewage and filth. Young man, here. Here's a 20p.
Get away from my kids.
Martin, come here.
Voight plays Ned Kenny, who is the cop who's after Gleason, makes it his mission to track him down. And he's kind of always outwitted, always slightly tired by the whole thing. Gleason enjoys pulling the wool over his eyes. So Voight brings to him a certain weariness, but a certain determination that's really charming.
It's a wonderful little film, one of John Borman's small films, which he made with a fairly small budget compared to something like Deliverance. And it was very successful in a minor way. Gleason and Voight were picked out as being very good in the parts they played.
What do you want, Martin? Come to confess a few crimes?
Just want to welcome you back to the neighborhood, Inspector. It's nice and peaceful now, isn't it?
You know why they sent me here, don't you?
Not because of me, I hope.
Yes, because of you. Because they think I know your wiles and your ways. And I do. It can only end one way, Martin. You keep on like this. What do you want?
I thought maybe I could work the mines with you guys. You know, all the Zoolander men together again, like when we were kids.
Times have changed, boy. You wouldn't last one day down those coal pits.
Can't you even pretend to be happy to see me, Pop?
Damn it, Derek, I'm a coal miner, not a professional film or television actor. Now, do us all a favor and get out of here.
In Zoolander, which is of course Ben Stiller's mad version of the life of a model, in which he plays Derek Zoolander, hilariously, the satire of the fashion world.
Stiller's Zoolander returns to his roots in a mining town, and his dad is Jon Voight. So Stiller turns up with all these New York male model sort of flares and flounces and says, no, I want to work with my working class family.
But Voight, instead of playing it up, plays it down. He plays it as if he was real, as he was the real father, and if he was really disappointed in his son's sort of chosen profession as a model.
This is where Voight is starting to steal scenes like a true burglar.
All I ever wanted to do was make you proud of me, Pop. With what, your male modeling? Prancing around in your underwear with your wiener hanging out for everyone to see? You're dead to me, boy. You're more dead to me than your dead mother. I just thank the Lord she didn't live to see her son as a mermaid. Merman.
Pearl Harbor is kind of Michael Bay's giant epic based on the Great American Defeat, of course, in the battle that drew them into World War II. And for Bay, it was going to be his David Lean movie.
Now I wonder, every hour of my life, why God put me into this chair. But when I see defeat in the eyes of my countrymen, in your eyes right now, I start to think that maybe he brought me down for times like these when we all need to be reminded who we truly are, that we will not give up or give in.
Mr. President, with all respect, sir, what you're asking can't be done.
The film was a huge hit, and I think one of the best parts in it was his little cameo of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which was very precisely drawn character study.
I think that Voight's performance in this is really the one thing to watch the film for.
He studied everything about the way that Roosevelt spoke. He had very, very extensive prosthetic makeup, and he even wore leg braces because Roosevelt wore leg braces, so that every aspect of him would be as close as possible to the real thing. It's a remarkable transformation. It's almost impossible to see Jon Voight on screen in that because he is so convincingly covered as Roosevelt.
Mr. President.
Get back, George. Get back. Do not tell me it can't be done.
If you want to know an actor's dedication to the cause, be out above and beyond the call of duty, then one should watch Jon Voight's performance as Howard Cosell, the great American sports commentator in Michael Mann's Ali.
Have a little coffee with you, sugar. They're coming after you because they're scared of black militancy in the inner cities.
I ain't no H. Rap Brown. I ain't no Stokely Carmichael.
All they are is political. You're the heavyweight champion of the world.
Howard Cosell was the great sportscaster of the era. He was the voice of boxing for America. And he and Ali had this terrific kind of bonhomie where they would spar with one another verbally and sort of joke and laugh. And in some ways, Cosell was the kind of gateway to the creation of the Ali myth.
I remember first watching that film and wondering, perhaps a third of the way into the film, when Jon Voight was going to appear, not realizing that he'd been in the film since almost the very beginning. He is completely transformed into someone who doesn't look like Jon Voight, doesn't sound like Jon Voight, doesn't move like Jon Voight.
So it's quite a disguised Jon Voight, but he gets him spot on. It's a lovely piece of kind of ventriloquism of an American icon.
Among the shareholders in Manchurian Global, were they to ever publish a list, which they won't, you would find former presidents, deposed kings, trust fund terrorists, fallen communist dictators, ayatollahs, African warlords, and retired prime ministers. See what I mean?
Yeah, I get it. They're big, they're huge, they're gigantic. I can't touch them. I get it. I don't want to.
And you bring me rumors and conjecture.
I started with nightmares, rumors, conjectures. That's a giant leap forward.
The Manchurian Candidate was a risk, I mean, for Jonathan Demme to remake a classic, you know, and try and set it in a new world of politics, sort of against the backdrop of the kind of the rise of the Bush era and republicanism. And he wanted to kind of reinsert the Manchurian Candidate paranoias into a modern world.
There are certain great things about it. One of those great things is Meryl Streep. who plays the villain. Another good thing about this is Jon Voight playing, unusually for this stage in his career, the good guy. He's playing the good senator who ought to be vice president while this plot unfolds around him. And you know, the plant, the brainwashed plant, is going to take his place.
At the time of Desert Storm, Dr. Atticus Noyle was working under a research grant from Manchurian Global, developing deep implant behavior modification.
Oh my God.
Rogue scientist, mind control, Manchurian Global.
Tom?
You. Connect the dots, Raymond. Where was your famous lost patrol for those 3 missing days? Eluding capture in the desert or somewhere else, being microwaved by this Atticus Noyle?
And it's nice to see Voight, you know, playing a decent soul.
All this time, no one knew what was on the bag.
The back of what?
No! Oh my God. Oh my God.
I know.
Oh my God. What have you done? This is.
I know.
This is the Declaration of Independence.
Yes, and it's very delicate.
You stole it?
Dad, I can explain, but I don't have time. It was necessary. And you saw the cipher.
And that will lead to another clue, and that will lead to another clue. There is no treasure. I wasted 20 years of my life, and now you've destroyed yours. And you pulled me into all this.
In National Treasure, he plays Nick Cage's father, who's a sort of former treasure seeker who got a bit sort of discouraged after 20 years searching for this lost treasure.
Of course, you have the kind of the de rigueur father issues between them as they inevitably have to team up to defeat the bad guys.
When you're dealing with a crazy Nicolas Cage spoof heist movie, Jon Voight at the center of that is the cold, hard, believable character.
This room is real, Ben. And that means the treasure is real. We're in the company of some of the most brilliant minds in history because you found what they left behind for us to find and understood the meaning of it. You did it, Ben, for all of us. Your grandfather and all of us. And I've never been so happy to be proven wrong.
Jon Voight is still going strong, and he's still a great force on the screen when he wants to be. You know, that magnetism is kind of ferocious when he turns it on. And that's true of Ray Donovan.
As is now the case with Jon Voight, he steals every single scene as Ray Donovan's ex-con dad, who's out trying to live on the straight and narrow, trying to rebuild his relationship with his son, at certain points having a heart attack. But he gives this character such life that whenever he's on screen, the program lifts and lives.
You hear about this new law? Egan's Law? They got to notify the Catholic Church moves into the neighborhood.
Come on, Ray, it's funny.
If you can't laugh, what are you going to do, cry all the time?
He won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor for his role in Ray Donovan.
I think Jon Voight is such a familiar face on the screen and on television too, that we take him for granted. But I can't remember a bad Jon Voight performance. And that's a tribute to him. I can remember several extremely good ones.
He's an astonishingly gifted character actor, you know, who dominates the screen. Yet you can't quite place him. Was he a star? Was he an actor? Was he a character actor? Kind of all of the above.
And I don't want to see people like you, man, coming back and having to face the rest of your lives with that kind of shit. It's simple as that. I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm a lot fucking smarter now than when I went. And I'm just telling you, there's a choice to be made here.
Yeah, he's a double Oscar winner. Yet, would you say he was one of America's greats? Maybe that is his quality. Just he's a bit of a mystery.
Just for a while, will you ever remember me? Ever remember me.